Hey everybody. In this video I want to talk a little bit about the fish I have in my native tank here so far. I bought them at a bait and tackle shop under the name Shiner. Of course there's many different species of Shiner and I did not know one from the other when I brought these home. I've been doing a lot of research, I've had a lot of different people suggest things. But I have been talking to one person that's very knowledgeable with the different species we have in this part of the world, and we've narrowed it down to two likely possibilities. It's either an emerald shiner or it's a gold shiner. I'm leaning towards gold shiner. Um, there is one way we can tell for sure, positively, but I'm going to need to actually examine one of the fish up close. So I'm not going to try to do that while they're alive, because quite frankly, it's just academic. It doesn't matter what kind of, shiner they are. I'm not going to try to catch one of them just for the sake of identifying them. I'm not breeding them. I'm not trying to ID them or anything. It would just be nice to know exactly what I do have in the tank. Pretty sure it's the gold based on the shape of its lateral line. The other thing we need to check is the scales on the ventral keel, whether it has any or not. If it does have them, then it's the emerald. If it does not have them, then it is the golden. So I'll know at some point if one of them ever dies, and frankly I'm really surprised none of them have yet. They've been in the tank for about, I don't know, 4 or 5 days now. They're starting to get used to me a little bit. I'm going to walk over there and see if they move around a little bit. I'm eventually going to put a little bit of food in there and watch them go nuts. But I bought 18 of them 4 or 5 days ago, and I've not lost one yet. If I bought 18 skirt tetras, for example, at one of my big chain pet stores, I'd be really surprised if after 4 or 5 days not one of them had died for some reason. And yet here I bought bait that was scooped down and by the bucketful out of a huge tank, and after nearly a week they're still all doing fine. Some of them are a little beat up. They are really skittish fish. They've been darting and dashing. The first couple days they were in there I could hear them slamming and banging into stuff. They've sort of gotten used to the lay of the land. They're really getting good at darting in and out of things now. They're really fun to watch. They're really interesting fish. I'm kind of waiting for the school to take off and start moving, because once one goes they usually all go, and it's a very liquid effect. It looks like the fish are just flowing from one end of the tank to the other, like you're pouring fish from one end of the tank to the other. So let me walk over here and put some food in the tank, and it will not be coordinated activity, but it will be vigorous activity. It doesn't take them long to figure out now when I've put food in the tank. So they are my first official native fish in this tank. I don't know what's going to happen by springtime. I don't really know what's going to happen with additional stocking. I'll talk more about the tank and what I want to do with it, my goals, and why I wanted to set it up in the first place, and all that in a different video. In this video I just sort of want to make a short video highlighting the fish a little bit. I have been talking about these a lot more than I've been showing them, so I wanted to give everybody a little bit of a look at them now that they're a little more comfortable in the tank. So if they turn out to be the gold shiners, worst case scenario, I've heard horror stories of them growing up to 11 inches. Normally in the wild they only get up to about 7. In aquaria they usually stay about 6. If they're the emerald shiners, which I don't think they are, I really do think they're the gold, but if they turn out to be the emerald, then they will top out around 5 inches. But even at 5 inches, and I expect them to get at least that big, I've bought jumbo shiners before, and jumbo shiners are considerably larger than these. Again, were they the same species? I don't know. They just get sold as shiners. Frankly, I've never seen shiners with the stripe down the side like that. Every time I've ever bought shiners as bait before, they've always been just a very plain silvery fish. So these are really interesting looking. Like I said, I was kind of surprised when I put them in the tank and was able to see them under the light. They're really a pretty fish. I like the way they swim. I like the way they school. If they stop being so skittish, which they seem like they're going to be, I think by nature they're always going to be somewhat skittish. They're a bait fish, and bait fish that school like that tend to be very skittish. But that's also a good thing. You want them to be a little nervous. That keeps them in a nice tight school. If they don't feel like they're under any pressure, they'll just spread out, and you won't get that really beautiful schooling effect. So I guess that's about all I have to say about the fish themselves. Like I said, we will get a positive ID on them if or when one of them dies come springtime. If they're getting really big, I'm obviously not going to be able to have 18, 7-inch fish in the tank and then stock it with, a variety of other stuff. So I will have to do something with them, or at least thin the amount of them out. I've considered putting my 2 crayfish, or my 1 crayfish. I think I still have 2 of them, but I positively have 1. I've been thinking about putting them in the tank, and even if they're sluggish, I still think they will feed over the winter, and they are more adept at hunting than a lot of people tend to give them credit for, and they will get these guys at night while they're sleeping. But surprisingly, they don't sleep down low. When I come down in the morning, when I turn the lights on, they're actually hovering around mid-tank, which is good. That would prevent them from being such easy prey for the crayfish. But crayfish will actually snag fish right out of mid-swim. I've seen them do it before. I've seen them do it in the wild before. I've been watching crayfish, and they've grabbed little minnows or something swimming by. So they will, scavenge for the most part, but they're also opportunistic hunters. If they've got the chance to just walk up on a fish and grab it, they will. So if I put a couple of them in there, we might not have to worry about that come springtime. We might only have 3 or 4 left, and I can sort of start over. For now, these are kind of I won't really call them my test fish necessarily, but before I really begin stocking this with fish that I really want to think of as long-term permanent fish, I want the tank to mature. I want there to be off-walks, a nice good coat of biofilm on everything. I want the wood to have matured into the tank, and I just want it to be a nice, well-established tank before I start putting other fish in there. So a good way to do that is just to have a nice little school of these fish. They'll be fun to watch for a while. We can watch the tank settle in. We'll have plenty to discuss in the meantime, and by giving it a little bit of thought, I'll be able to really set up an awesome tank that we'll be able to enjoy for a long time to come. So there's your first good solid look at my new minnows, my new shiners swimming around in the tank. Again, I'm going with golden for now until we find out otherwise, or unless we find out otherwise, but I'm assuming they are golden shiners. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you're not already. Not only do I have lots and lots coming up with this tank, but I always have lots and lots of stuff going on with all my other tanks in this room as well. So if you're subscribed, you won't miss any of it. Thanks again for watching this one. Hope you enjoyed your little look. See you real soon on the next one.